Do this. Let's go. World of Matchups is back in the house. 2 week hiatus. Ready for this draft, you guys. It is next week. And with all the pomp and circumstance that has been hitting the airwaves about this guy and that guy, we are going to bring to you our final top 10 draft prospects going into the 2024 NFL draft, which is taking place this Thursday. On the other side of the glass, my producer and A1 from day one, joining myself, Dexter Reed, bringing in Mr. Spencer the Wiz. Spence, what's up, bro?
I'm doing well. I am excited about this draft, but I just don't know what my team's gonna do. But that's the nature of this time, especially when you have a higher draft pick. It's all smoke screens, and so you get a news report that every day this person's interested, the Raiders are interested, this prospect's interested. It's fun, man. This NFL draft is one of the best parts of the NFL. It's just so awesome to watch. There's so many factors to it, and you never really know what's gonna happen until draft day.
I love it. I can't ever remember being this excited about an NFL draft in my life.
Like, as of recent, I feel like the NFL drafts have just been getting better for some reason. I don't know what it is about it.
They came to Las Vegas. They came to Las Vegas, and seriously, honestly, I was thinking about this the other day, man. Ever since Vegas entered the NFL's gone to another level. It really has. And so I feel like what's going to happen this year in Detroit, Detroit is now really good as well. The NFL is going to another level, man. Now, I don't know about the rule changes making it better, but it remains to be seen. But as far as prospects and people's teams, there's a lot of teams that all of a sudden back in the race. Green Bay, Detroit, you know what I mean? Teams that weren't good, they're Houston, they're good now. And so there's a lot of excitement from a lot of fan bases. Let's get into this, man. Top 10. I'll let you spin first. This is a no-brainer for me.
Yeah, we can go off of you. I'd like to actually go through your list. I took a completely different method when it came to making my list. So,
okay. What method?
We'll run through yours, and at the end, I'll tell you kind of how I made my list, I guess.
Okay, that works. My list was pretty straightforward. I'm gonna go off MHJ first. I just don't see how anyone cannot have Marvin Harrison Jr. go number one overall as far as draft prospects. Now, I know Caleb Williams is supposed to be in a lot of people's minds the next Patrick Mahomes. I don't see it. I think the potential for Caleb Williams to be a bust is a lot higher than for Marvin Harrison Jr. to be a bust. Marvin Harrison Jr. is cut from that cloth of already having a father with NFL experience, and his tape has no weakness, none. Whereas Caleb Williams, in my mind, didn't play that well versus better competition. And so what's between his ears, his dad has kind of a LeVar Ball feel to it. I have him going after MHJ. I just think he is a blue chip prospect that whatever team he lands on, he's going to be 1,000 yards and 10 touchdowns within the first 2 years. I can pretty much guarantee that, unless Arizona does something stupid and trades out of the pick and he ends up someplace where there's no quarterback like Denver. And even then, look at the guy's numbers. The separation is there, the body is there, the speed is there. On some of his routes, there wasn't another D-back within 20 yards of the guy. 50-50 balls. It's whatever you want, he can do. 32 total touchdowns at Ohio State. This for me is a no-brainer, number one. We can debate it or argue it, but I honestly don't see how it's arguable at this point. I really don't. Marvin Harrison Jr., in my mind, if there wasn't so many quarterback-starved teams in the NFL, would go number one overall.
No, without a doubt, this guy is the number one draft prospect. And if I'm being honest, I see no possible way that the Cardinals trade back. Every time I see a mock draft, it's like, oh, this is where the Cardinals trade back. They can still get a wide receiver, but they're not on the same level. I know you're a bigger fan of Malik Nabers than I am, and I'm not saying that.
I like Nabers a lot.
He's going to be incredible. I think he's going to be a really good player. But I think it's more like this is how high I have Marvin Harrison Jr. on my draft board. The Cardinals would be insane to pass up on this guy. They've seen what Kyler Murray can do with the number one wide receiver. Good things. You can take your team to the playoffs. They don't have one right now. They can't trade back and go for Roma Dunze because it's not going to be the same product. Marvin Harrison is a true number one wide receiver. That's not to take away from the other guys, and it's not to say they can't have 1,000-yard seasons. What I'm saying is Marvin Harrison Jr. has all pro potential. Now, you never know, right? That's the nature of the NFL. But I'm saying, as from a scouting standpoint, it's just something that you have to do. You can't trade back. You're not going to be able to get an asset as valuable. This guy's a number one overall pick in a lot of drafts. Plain out. They just happen to have there just happens to be 3 great quarterbacks going in this draft, and the position's the most important on the field. If you were to have a down year, or even a quarterback that was questionable as a number one overall pick, I'm pretty sure this guy's going first overall. That's how good he is. And the Cardinals are going to get him at 4. I'm telling you, if I was a Cardinals fan and they were to trade back, I'd quit. I would quit being a fan of that team because this is the easiest pick of the draft, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's a no-brainer. Just close your eyes and press the button. I mean, the pick should be sent in now. It should be sent in right now. It really should. And, Kyler Murray has got to be happy about this because there were rumblings that they were going to trade Kyler Murray. You know what I mean? There are rumblings that they're going to try to get rid of Kyler Murray now. I'm not so sure that these dummies don't do something stupid. You know what I mean? Because Arizona Cardinals aren't known for, their GM room and their war room, but don't play games with this one, man. Marvin Harrison Jr., Kyler Murray, Trey McBride. I mean, you got something going there if you do that. My number 2 is going to be Caleb Williams, obviously. This is where Caleb Williams slides in. The measurables, the intangibles, the footwork, in the pocket, when the pocket breaks down, the arm. I like it. I do like it. The talent is there. It is there. Just what scares me about him is what's between his ears. This is a millennial quarterback. This is your generation's quarterback now finding its way into the NFL. And, whatever. What I know about the NFL is that you need to be a leader. And just leave it at that. I'm not sure if people do that. I'm not big on the arrogance. You haven't played it down in this league, bro. And versus better competition in college football, he was not impressive to me at all. It's fine to beat up on scrubs. Anyone can beat up on scrubs with this talent. When it mattered, you know what I mean? When it mattered, to me, he looked pedestrian at times. I'm not saying he's going to stink, but there's bust alert there, man. Anyone that watches college football and watches the NFL and knows the difference between the 2 leagues has to understand that there absolutely is bust alert here. Now, I like what Chicago is doing. I like how they're surrounding him. There couldn't be a better wide receiver than Keenan Allen for this guy to come in and now throw to because he's just a target monster that catches everything, albeit at 32 years old. It will be good for Caleb Williams. You know what I mean? He has nice pieces around him. So he'll be not so much hidden, but he'll be helped. He'll be helped a lot more than to help Justin Fields. And so I have him at number 2.
Yeah, this is a tough one. I mean, I have flashbacks back in my time when, Jamarcus Russell was coming out and they were saying he had off-the-field issues. And you think, oh, well, it'll get sorted out. He's a kid. I mean, I'm obviously not saying it's that bad, but I think a big part, like a problem with this whole draft process for him has been his camp. It's hard to know which part of these reports from his camp are true or not. Like I saw something the other day, and again, could just be me getting debated, and that's part of the problem with social media is you never know what's true. But I heard this story that essentially he's like telling the Bears like they got to do this and that, and it's like, I don't know, man, you haven't even stepped foot on the field yet. But that could all be a lie. But I think a big problem is that he does let, on some level, the narrative of his camp get out there too much. Mm-hmm. And he should say, like, if you don't hear it from me, it's not true.
That's
it. I think all these reports come out, and he just doesn't. And I know you're not supposed to address every rumor too. And I'm not trying to say he's in an easy position, like, at all. Like, being the number 1 overall pick comes with a lot of pressure. But I think if I was him, I'd be like, look, I'm a quiet guy. If you hear a report about my camp, it's all, BS. I'm me. I make my own decisions. And I know Yeah, he went out to Tokyo like in the middle of this draft process, so the draft is ramping up.
Like, what are you
It's just
doing, bro?
there's just something weird about it, and I think maybe it's just like kids my age or something. Because
It's your dude, this is your generation, bro. You guys are out there.
Marvin Harrison
Yeah.
Jr. even had a little bit of that this offseason,
I
but
don't get it. What are you guys doing? Like, you're about to enter the biggest decision of your life. You should be eating, sleeping, and shitting football right now. What are you going to Tokyo for? You should be
that's
on the
what
phone with your parents, your
Justin
agent,
Fields is the same
and
way. It is
and
it is
in the
my generation.
gyms.
You're right,
I don't get it, man. I'm not saying don't live your life. You know what I mean? But
but
I'm not putting myself in any position for anything bad to happen. I'm not doing any of that. Like, I'm bubble wrapping myself. You are about to be a bazillionaire for playing a game, dude. Where's your focus? Who's
yeah, not only
advocating for
that,
you?
but like if you're bad, it literally costs you millions of dollars. Like
We've
he's
watched
gonna
this year
he'll
after
have enough
year.
money to like last the rest of his life, regardless of what happens. But we're talking about that and the difference between like borderline generational wealth. So
It just doesn't
I
make
don't
sense
know.
to me, man. I don't know. I've watched guys fall down draft boards for 40 years over dumb stuff. It just doesn't make sense to me. It's like, when will you athletes learn? But I do like Caleb Williams here
It's
enough to.
objectively the right pick, right? For
It is
them
the
to
right.
have
No,
traded
it's the
Justin
right pick.
Fields, even if it
It's the
doesn't
right
work
pick.
out. That's one of the things I hate about sports is that they like people get on you if you're wrong. It's like you'll never know if you're right or wrong
You'll
in the
never
draft.
know.
It's about making the right decision. I feel
Hmm.
like always if you stick with the mentality of I'm going to make the right pick, it's never going to hit every time. That's impossible. It's
Yeah.
literally like a
There's
crapshoot.
no such
You
thing.
got you got to do your homework and you got to say, objectively at this moment, this is the right choice to make.
Yeah, for
And it
sure.
is.
Absolutely. Next, number 3. I got Malik Neighbors. I mean, I'm high on Malik Neighbors. I think Malik Neighbors is like literally like right under Marvin Harrison Jr. and there are some arguments to be made that he's as good or even better just because of the separation and the yak. And my goodness, man. Anyone that has an opportunity to take Malik Neighbors in this draft and passes on him, you need to have your head examined. I'm talking to you, LA Chargers. Like, what are you doing? You know what I mean? Like, this guy is going to be a day one starter. He's fast. He's very elusive. Yes, he had Brian Thomas Jr. on the other side of the field to help take some of that, heat off him for sure. But let's not underestimate this kid and what he can do. 21 total touchdowns at LSU. Yes, he had a decent quarterback. I mean, he's a 1,000-yard receiver, no doubt. And what I like about him is that he's fearless. He'll go over the middle. He'll jump with you. He's not the biggest dude either. You know what I mean? He's got some heart. And I think that there's a lot of teams out there that need wide receiver help. I can't see the Chargers not replacing Keenan Allen with Malik Neighbors. I just can't. I can't see it, man. They're going to trade out of this pick like dummies, and then rely on the Quentin Johnstons of the world to help that team. I mean, yes, there's plenty of wide receiver help later. And yes, if you can get a 2-for-1 or 3-for-2, you're going to want to do it because there's so much wide receiver help down the line. But the talent level of Malik Neighbors is what really is intriguing to me. I mean, what can't the kid do? What can he do? To me, he's my number 3 for sure. And I can't put anybody above him. I really can't. I mean, I think him and Marvin Harrison Jr. are head and shoulders above the rest of the pack, even the next 3, 4, and 5 wide receivers. To me, I'd take Malik Neighbors on my team. I wouldn't even think about it. I'd worry about everything else later. I'd take him on my team if I didn't have a quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, I do love him. Like I do. I personally, I think there's a big not a huge separation, but there is a separation in my opinion. Right, great acceleration, great long speed, a yak guy. His release package leaves a little bit to be desired, at least from what I've seen. I think that's a big problem. Like Marvin Harrison Jr. has an incredible release package. It's like one of the best things about him in terms of his scouting report.
Mm-hmm.
I also think that he catches in traffic. I could see there being an issue. He doesn't have the largest frame ever. And I know that's not all of being, a football player. A lot of these guys play in space and they're going to be like in spread offenses. So I think you can mask these kinds of things. But if you're the Chargers, I feel like it is kind of a no-brainer. Like you can't go into next season with this current wide receiver group. Although, like, the more that I look at it and the more I've seen what they've done this offseason, I don't think they care about this season. I don't think they have the goal of doing anything.
Yeah,
So
I think Harbaugh is going to
Dak.
tank it. Yeah, I mean, they're just getting enough pieces to put people in SoFi Stadium.
There are going to be teams willing to trade up for Malik Neighbors.
There's
I think
no question about it.
I think it's him. Like, when I'm looking at the draft board,
Giants
and for guys other than a quarterback, teams that want to trade up for a quarterback, I could see. I think this is the only player left that we're going to talk about that is a non-quarterback that's a team would trade up for. I think it's too intriguing not to. I think the Giants probably would go after him, the LSU connection. I mean, it feels like it's going to happen, but I'm not sure. That's just in my mind. I'm thinking, oh, they're going to, you could see it on draft day. I can literally look at the graphics right now. Does this remind you of anybody? Odell Beckham Jr.? Like, you know what I mean? Yeah. Sometimes when you can see a pick happening like that, like it just feels like it's going to happen.
It's going to happen. Yeah. Boy, the Chargers would be dummies, but I could totally see. I mean, when Harbaugh is thinking about 2026. You know what I mean? He's just bringing J.K. Dobbins and you know what I mean, these other bums to just keep the fan base warm. Put some put some. You're gonna put some fans in the seats to show that you're kind of trying. But he's going for 2026 here, and he's going to get as many players and as many picks as possible with this draft because they just stink so bad. Justin Herbert will probably get a little bit more O-line help. They're thinking for the future. They know they're not winning anything now, and so they may trade it out. I think it would be a mistake. I do.
Malik
Neighbors is.
You build a team by making good players. You know what I mean?
Not theoretical Neighbors players. Is electric. A man with the ball in his hands that can score from any blade of grass on the field. I don't see how you not take this guy, and he's my number 3 prospect with ease. Number 4, this is where it gets a little tricky for a lot of people. I've been doing a lot of recon here on offensive tackles, offensive linemen. I know Joe Alt is the chalk. Everyone loves Alt. Everyone loves Alt going to Tennessee at 7. Like, fine, you know what I mean? I think that I kind of was a prisoner of the moment with Joe Alt. You know what I mean? I mean, his dad. I mean, there's a lot of that. But, like, I like Olu Fashanu a lot. I've been watching this kid's tape. He's my number 4. Would I take him before Alt? It's questionable, man. But it's on the table for me. It's on the table for me. Penn State's a good school. They grow pros. He's a solid left tackle. I mean, 6'6", 312. You know what I mean? And he's a 2-year starter, man. This kid's he's only going to get better. All he has to do with play with a little bit better control and consistency, and someone's going to get a steal. The team on the board that needs a left tackle first has a really, really big decision to make because all the pomp and circumstances about Alt out of Notre Dame. But Olu Fashanu, I think, is just as good, man. Today, when you have a chance today, Spencer, go look at this guy's measurables. Go look at his tape. He's a beast. He's a beast. I think he's as good as Alt. I'm probably the only person in the world that thinks so. I think there's this thing that happens when there's a dad who played in the NFL and his kid is coming in. That's the guy. That's the guy. He's going to be just like him. Maybe. You know what I mean? Maybe. But this kid's a monster, man. I think he's a one-man wrecking crew. Look. Overall, the work ethic is there, the traits are there, the tape is there, and it makes it very, very easy to project that this kid is going to have continued improvement, and he's going to turn into a top 3 left tackle in the league one day. And so for me, he is my number 4. A lot of people think I am crazy. It would not be the first time I've been called that, and it would also not be the first time that I was right. I take swings that no one wants to take when it comes to football, fantasy football, gambling, you name it. And I hit these. As long as you've known me, this is factual information. If you don't know about Olu Fashanu, get well-versed with him today, guys. He is a very, very good player, and he is my number 4 top 10 draft prospect.
I am also a very big fan of Fashanu, and I actually have a bet on him. So I put my money where my mouth is for this one. I have him. I think it's below like pick 13.5 or something. I think it was like a very criminal number. I could see the Raiders taking him and never looking back at that spot. Like the more the
Colton Miller is on his way out.
I even think you can just switch him around.
You can move him around.
You have him on the bookends, and I just think that's like a perfect fit. I mean, at right tackle, this guy will be your right tackle for 15, 20 years if you were to put him over there. Bro.
Dude, Fagiano is a bouncer. He is a monster. This guy will throw you out of the club in a heartbeat. He's a great player.
I don't think he allowed a stack like in his last season. I mean, just
the guy has he's a unit.
He has skills. I'm with you on this one. I mean, I love Joel too, and I think in the top maybe like 3 offensive linemen, I think they're all just book them in as starter guys, which is rare.
What I like about this guy,
the Christian Wirfs draft, I should say. That's what it reminds me of this draft, where it's like you got offensive linemen. It depends on what your scouting department says on their rankings, because they're all going to start.
They're all going to start. This guy's run blocking ability is insane. It kind of reminds me of the movie The Blind Side. You know what I mean? When the kid finally woke up on the field and was like, all right, his mom comes down and like all of a sudden he like just freaking steamrolls that guy and throws him over the fence. You know what I mean? Like that is what this guy reminds me of. I'm telling you, you guys don't sleep, man. Fagiano is a blue chip player. He's in my top 5. It's not even for me. Maybe not a month ago, but in this time that you and I have had off, I've been studying. I have been looking at these guys very closely because I really want to see how close to nailing the first 32 in the draft I can get this year. And this kid is, I don't know, I think he's right there with Joe Alt. I really do. Next, number 5, Drake Maye. Drake Maye. You know what I mean? There's not much to say. Big arm. This is what you need. There's so many.
Pizzazz. I'm telling you, there's something to it.
Drake Maye's, dude, he's got the name. He's got the size. He's got the cannon. There's a little Will Levis to him. Yes, the competition you're playing as a Tar Heel isn't the best, but there are quarterback hungry teams in the NFL. They're starving. They see what's happening with guys like Justin Herbert, Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow, Josh Allen. Guys, you can't win if you don't have one of these guys, period. You got to draft him. You got to either sit him behind someone good or throw him out there right away, Peyton Manning style, put him in the incubator, let him learn, let him get warm, and then hope you win a Super Bowl in 3 years. That's what Drake Maye is going to be. He's going to go to one of these teams. He's one of these quarterback-starved teams. He's going to Washington. He's going to New England. He's going to Denver. He's going, guys. And he's a top 5. He's a top 10 prospect. Nope. He's a top 5 prospect. Drake Maye is ready for the NFL. Now, a couple things worry me about him. He hasn't really played as much as you would like. The numbers aren't all world last year. They were just okay. But he doesn't really turn the ball over, man. And he's got good vision. He'll take off if he needs
Carolina to.
Look, Drake Maye is going to be a good pro. He's got to be my number 5. I like him a little bit more than Jaden Daniels because he's got the better arm and the stronger arm. And in the National Football League, you need to be able to throw the ball 50 yards on a rope, and you need to be accurate. Your running skills are secondary in the NFL. You cannot rely on your running skills to be a successful quarterback in a pocket passer league. Ask Michael Vick. Ask Cam Newton. And these things have changed even more since these guys have stepped out of the league. You must be able to be protected, to drop back on a 5-step drop, 7-step drop, throw the ball on the rope. If the pocket breaks down, you must be able to throw on the run, throw against your body. You must be able to do these things. Drake Maye can do these things. And so he's my number 5.
This is one of my favorite players in the draft. I hear a lot of people say, "Oh, he's just like Mitch Trubisky." I'm like, "You're not watching."
No,
Mitchell Trubisky didn't do
any of those things. They just went to the same school.
I love prospects that have intangibles. I guess that's my most consistent thing. I'd rather have a guy who I feel his ceiling is an all-pro And I
Mm-hmm.
feel that with him. He can literally throw the ball 50 yards off his back foot, like on a rope, not even just to get the ball there. And when I see Patrick Mahomes make these kinds of plays, and I look at, and I feel as though Drake May could do those plays, and I'm, not to say to replicate them and do the crazy stuff, like get the ball there. And when I look at a prospect like Jayden Daniels, I don't think I don't think he can physically do it. I think that Jayden Daniels plays the game more correctly, I guess, or technically than Drake May. But Mahomes, like, I wouldn't describe as the most technical player. In football, you got to get a little creative. And I see creativity with him. Now, it
Mm-hmm.
could bite him a little bit, Drake May, in his first season. I could see that. But we're talking about a franchise quarterback. That's the point, man. You draft him, you throw him out there, you develop him. If developed correctly, I could see Drake May as being the number one quarterback in this year's draft. And I'm willing to say that with 10 toes down.
Yeah,
The potential is so there.
it's there.
He's the
It's
first
there.
pick. If Caleb Williams is out of this draft,
Drake
he's
May's
going
number one.
first. No
Yeah.
one looks back. It's not
Mm-hmm.
even close. I'm still not convinced that the Commanders go Jayden Daniels. I think it feels like a smokescreen a little bit. I could be crazy. All the reports are saying they're looking for Jayden Daniels at number 2.
I
I
told
think
you.
that has only happened as of recent. Most of the offseason, this guy is a definitive second pick. And I would not be shocked. And in fact, I'd probably expect him to go second overall, even right now. Even those are just reports, in my opinion. If everything's even, nothing's really changed, he's going number 2.
I told you. I have Drake May going to the Commanders. In our breakdown that we did a couple weeks back, and it seems like it's starting to come to fruition a little bit. Jayden Daniels' camp was, kind of upset that, the Commanders are looking at other quarterbacks when they thought it was all him. It's setting up for him to go somewhere else. It's setting up for him to go to New England. Drake May is going to be a Commander. They had not had that kind of a pocket passer quarterback since Kirk Cousins. It's always been the RG3s, even way back to Doug Williams, the running quarterback. They need a guy that could stand in there and throw darts to Scary Terry, to Jahan Dotson. That's what they need. That's what they need. They need something to galvanize that franchise. It's been a horrible franchise for years with a horrible owner and a horrible stadium. You need white bread, Friday night lights, Drake May to come save your team. And that's what's going to happen, guys. I'm telling you right now, Jayden Daniels is not going to Washington. I'd be shocked. I read some reports this week, and he was not happy with the fact that they were looking at other quarterbacks. He had a visit, showed up, and there were all these other guys there. He's like, I thought this was all about me, and now they're sour. Now they've soured on Washington. I was even saying this 3, 4, 5 weeks ago. I like Drake May going to the Washington Commanders over, Jayden Daniels by a country mile, bro. There are different.
I agree.
There are different styles of quarterbacks, and with certain teams need certain things. And I'm telling you right now, what Washington needs is this kind of quarterback. It's time to stop playing games and jump in the arena with the pocket passers of this league. I mean, Josh Allen's an alien. He's a pocket passer that can go ham with his legs. You're not going to always find those guys. But the more technical quarterbacks that can get you there, that have played in Super Bowls or been in Super Bowls recently, the Staffords, the Mahomes, the Burrows, these are pocket passers. Don't play with me. Drake May at 5. Next. Jayden Daniels, right behind him. Jayden Daniels is a beast, dude. Don't get us wrong, you guys. We're not talking about Jayden Daniels like he's some scrub. Jayden Daniels is a monster. Okay, my concerns for Jayden Daniels is, can he throw at an NFL level? We all know what he can do with his legs. You know what I mean? We already know that. But you may not go to a team that has Brian Thomas Jr. and Malik Neighbors. New England? Can anyone name me New England's 3 top wide receivers?
I don't know if I can name you 2.
Juju? Who else?
Oh, boy.
You see what I mean? And this is where Jayden Daniels, in my mind, is going. So I have my concerns. Rookie head coach, Bill is gone. Whole new system. You know what I mean? Whole new theory. Whole new game plan. You're brand new. You're a freshman now, son. you know? And so he's electric, and he's going to save a franchise for sure. How good he'll be really concerns me. And he's another one of these guys that is like all caught up with, well, I thought this team was only looking at me. And guys, these guys are shopping for groceries, man. You know what I mean? When I'm out buying lettuce, I'm looking at the different kinds of lettuce that are there. When I'm out buying steaks, I'm looking at the price. I'm looking at the cut. I'm not just grabbing the first one on the shelf that looks good. I don't care what has happened in the past. This is the NFL. Well, the college football can't hold a candle to the NFL. And the notion that I hear some of you casuals saying that, like the best college team could beat the worst NFL team is so far-fetched. You should be shot for saying such nonsense. It's insane. The Carolina Panthers would beat up on the worst the best at the college football team 10 out of 10 times. It is a different game. Speed's different. Everyone is as good as Jaden Daniels in the NFL. Come on, stop. But he's going to be a very good player. He is a top prospect with a big arm, who quite frankly will have to run a lot in this league because you may not have the talent. You're not going to have the talent. You're going to go to a bad team. You're going to go to Denver. You're going to go to New England. You're going to go to Washington. You may not have the talent right away. And so the development is what really concerns me. So I have him behind Drake May, but he is number 6 for me.
Yeah, I mean, without a doubt. He's got the smarts. Like, he has, like, the mental aspect of it. He's got the mechanics. It just worries me that he doesn't have the arm talent. I mean, it's legitimately lacking. And I don't know if you'll ever...
He can throw the ball, but
no
your
doubt.
wide receivers made you look better than you really are. Let's not act like.
He did well with the talent that he had on his team. So in the right situation, I think he's great. I think if you ask him to go get it, I think you're in trouble. I'm thinking so more and more that the Patriots are interested in trading out of this position. If they were smart,
they would. If they were smart, they would. They don't have a quarterback.
This is not a guy who I'm willing to push all my chips in the middle for, personally. And it scares me that if the Patriots do trade out of the third spot, that the Raiders are going to be the ones to go in there. This isn't... If the situation fell right and Jaden Daniels went to the Raiders, I'd be happy. The idea of them giving up like this year's first and like another one and some other draft, I don't want them to do that. I wouldn't be sick to my stomach necessarily because he would be the best quarterback on the team.
You can get Michael Penix Jr. later without trading anyone, and I think he could be just as good, if not better, than Jaden Daniels, and that I will stand 10 toes down on.
Oh, I would rather have Michael Penix too. I think he's a better.
How is Michael Penix going to go as? How is Michael Penix not even on my list? Shame on me. Shame on me, dude. I love Michael Penix. Jaden Daniels is electric, but
just from the beginning, I just haven't been super sold on Jaden Daniels.
There's something about it, man. Me either. But Spencer, the guy has a lot of talent. He does. He's got boatloads of talent.
I think it's just got to be so right for him though in every aspect.
Yeah. Unlike May,
I actually think there's no way that the Raiders draft this guy because are we not just looking at Justin Fields? I mean, I think he's a better technical player. I think he has better mindset and vision and all of these things. But they have very comparable skill sets overall.
He's Justin Fields.
Great on their feet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know.
Skills.
And I just think I think the Raiders have proven that they're not like they could have had Justin Fields for a 6th-round pick, right, and could have brought him over, but they have their offensive coordinator from that scheme, so they're gonna pass on Justin Fields for like free and then take this guy as a replacement who's like pretty much a very comparable player. I just don't see that happening. I think the Raiders trading up for Jaden Daniels is a smokescreen. Personally,
I don't think it would ever happen. If it did, you're crazy. Absolutely nuts. But yeah, he's got boatloads of talent. He's going to go to the New England Patriots, and he's going to be a one-man show for a couple years. But they'll do something good with him. They'll put him in an incubator, and they'll surround him with talent over time. But it's going to be a while before they do anything. I mean, that's a 4-win team. If on a great year, he's going to be welcomed into the NFL a lot differently than May, Harrison. You know what I mean? And these other cats, Penix, those guys. It's situational football. They go to the right team. He goes to the wrong team. And I mean, the New England Patriots are in such a state of flux right now. They have changed everything. You know what I mean? I mean, it's like moving from Hawaii to Alaska. I mean, it's a completely different franchise right now. The only last remaining piece is Robert Kraft. I mean, God forbid Robert Kraft dies. That Patriots team is done. They are completely there. They might as well pack up and move. Everything that's left about what we remember about the New England Patriots is gone. It's gone. So good luck, Jaden Daniels, because I think this is where you're going to end up. Number 7, Joe Alt. Joe Alt, man. I felt bad putting him this low. I really did. I mean, don't get me wrong, because what I like about him versus Olu Fashanu is that he's tall, man. Joe Alt is 6'9". Now, look. Just because you're a taller offensive tackle doesn't necessarily make you better, man. You know what I mean? It hasn't translated into you being better. Being taller and being heavier has not translated in the NFL to you being a better offensive tackle over the last, I'd say, 10 years. Does it help? Yes. His arms are long. He can move furniture with the best of them. He is great player. But I think we are holding on to his dad's name with him a little bit too much. Yes, Notre Dame is a great school program. They grow pros. I like what they've done here. His comp to me is going to be kind of like a Mike McGlinchey. I could kind of see that. Look, he has his quality tackle play. He can push 2 guys. You know what I mean? He can push 2 guys. I like it. I think he kind of struggles to bend enough to compensate to get around guys, though. Sometimes, man, he's a little slow. Dude, I like Joe Alt, but at times he looked a little awkward to me. Almost like he was about to trip over himself. I mean, when you're that big, I'm not saying he's clumsy. He's really, really good, man. He's a day 1 starter on the left side, no problem. But he's going to have to clean up his little habits of like leaning forward into guys. You ever know? Watch Joe Alt's tape, man. He kind of leans into the guys sometimes, man. I don't know, man. Something about this says he's going to be great. And I could definitely see him right on the same line as Peter Skoronski and the Tennessee Titans. But, he could be in for some bumpy action here early on, man. I'm not saying he's going to come out of the gate swinging like everyone thinks he's going to be. I don't know. There's something about it that's – as long as you've known me, Spencer, I'm not chalk. I'm very rarely the chalk, dude. You know what I mean? If someone's like, yes, this is the guy, this is it, I try to find reasons why it's not. Just like last year when everyone told me that Bryce Young was going to be the best quarterback in the world. And I was like, nope, CJ Stroud is the guy. You guys are listening to what everyone else is telling you to listen to. You have to do your own homework. Same thing with politics. You have to do your homework. If everyone just tells you this guy's the best thing since sliced bread and you just sign a ballot, you get what you get. Why is this guy the best thing? Why? Can you come up with facts? And I can come up with some facts here. Well, I think Fashanu is as good as Joe Alt, maybe even better down the line, depending on who he gets paired with. Now, Skoronski had a nice rookie year with Tennessee, and I think it will be fine. I think it'll be more than fine. But I'm not saying that he's the best thing as far as offensive linemen coming in this draft. There are a lot of talented old linemen here, and I think I like Fashanu a little bit more than him, man. I just do. That's just me personally.
Yeah, there's just less injury concern. I guess you kind of know what you're getting with this guy. He's big. He's powerful. I just think the Tennessee Titans are going to be very happy having these 2 guys on the bookend. I'm not sure.
Will Levis, man.
They're like Pro Bowl caliber guys, and I think if you can get that out of your bookends, I think you're pretty happy. The Tennessee Titans are like silently.
They're creeping. They're building this team. I like what they're doing, man.
They've been doing it kind of behind the scenes, and I think this guy's just going to fall right to him. And I think I actually like the direction that they're going, like more than I have in a very long time for them.
Why
I mean,
did
we're
they get rid
talking,
of Mike? Why did they get rid of Mike Vrabel? Why? I
yeah,
don't
that's
understand it, dude. He slept with someone's wife. He
I don't
did.
know. There were some,
He
yeah, like
did. Like, what?
he's
Why
been
would
rock
you,
solid. They've given him what, Ryan Tannehill this whole time. I mean,
dude? He went to the AFC Championship game with Ryan Tannehill and Derrick Henry. I mean, and no one else. Oh, come on, man. You give Mike Vrabel what you're giving this new guy? I don't get it. Doesn't make sense. But I do like what Tennessee is doing here, and I think out at 7 is the biggest
this
slam
is the
dunk pick in the
this
whole
is the
draft.
it's the safest pick
It's
in
the
the draft.
biggest slam dunk pick. If you want to put your money on a player going to a team
I
in
did.
this draft, out to Tennessee, write it down, tattoo it on your forehead. Because if this does not happen, I will be absolutely shocked. Who's Tennessee taking? I will be stunned. I will be stunned if they. I mean, they're all the wide receiver help they need now. They don't need a wide receiver. They got the franchise quarterback. No one's taking a running back until round 3. You take the beef here. Joe Alt is a great, great player. He's my number 7 draft prospect. That Will Levis is safer Friday morning than he was Thursday afternoon because Joe Alt is now in his back pocket. Next, I like this kid, man. Y'all can't talk me off this. Dude, Brock Bowers, dude, is the next great tight end in the National Football League. Brock Bowers is the truth. Brock Bowers is a man amongst boys. He has a bunch of different comparisons to me. I see so many different things in him. But when I really watched and studied his tape, I felt like I was watching George Kittle. I felt like I was watching George Kittle, man. He doesn't drop anything. Muscles everyone. Jumps more athletic than you think. You're like, there's no way he could do that. And all of a sudden, he's up the field. You know what I mean? Shades of just running people over like Gronk. Nice, soft, fluffy hands. I mean, let's be honest. Tight end is one of the hardest positions to play in the whole league because you have to do everything. Catch, muscle, chip, pass protect, lineman, like score. Like Brock Bowers has it all, man. Whoever gets this guy is going to get a very, very good player. And this is where I could see the LA Chargers trading down, getting an extra pick, and taking Brock Bowers. You know, this is going to be
it would be a very Harbaugh pick to do
it's
that.
it's the future. It's the future. You know what I mean? He plays like a wide receiver, but he's a tight end. He's got a little Travis Kelce to him. I mean, and when you see before this last year, you hadn't seen tight ends come into the league and blow up like as rookies pretty much since Jeremy Shockey. You hadn't seen it. It took a couple years. Even Tony Gonzalez, it took a couple of years. And even Antonio Gates, it took a while before they got going. This year, Sam Laporta busted out the gate. Dalton Kincaid busted out the gate. I mean, Trey McBride busted out the gate. I mean, these guys came out of nowhere, and they were dominant. Dude, why can't Brock Bowers do this now? It's a passing league that's driven by pass protection and getting open with separation into pockets. Travis Kelce has changed this league. It's not about running guys over anymore. It's about finding the soft spot in the zone, depending on the coverage that they play you, and getting a catch, maybe going 2 yards and going down. It's about moving the chains. It is no longer about beasting guys and getting up and flexing. Those days are over. Those days shorten careers. You know what I mean? Your careers end early because of play like that. I think Brock Bowers comes out of a school that grows pros. Man, Brock Bowers to the Jets would be sick.
That's what I was about to say. I feel like the Jets
Would
are
be
probably targeting him.
sick, dude. I love Brock Bowers so much, man. I love him a lot more than a lot of people, and I think he's easily the best tight end coming out in this draft. He's my number 8 top 10 draft prospects, and it is not even close. I love this kid. Like, if the Kansas City Chiefs traded up and took Brock Bowers with all the other help that we need, I wouldn't even be upset. I wouldn't even be mad. You're getting the heir apparent to Travis Kelce. Now, will he ever fall that far? He shouldn't. But there's a bunch of dummies in this league, and you know this to be true. All of a sudden, a bunch of cornerbacks start going. Nobody wants to take a tight end. Maybe we don't need a tight end because we've already got our generational tight end. There's a lot of that now. A lot of teams have good tight ends. Kelsey, Kittle, Laporta, Kincaid, McBride. There's a lot of teams that don't need tight ends. A lot of teams need line more than tight ends. All of a sudden, Brock Bowers is in free fall. I'd take him in a heartbeat. If the Raiders were smart, they'd take him too. But you need help as well. You've got decent tight ends, but he's there. He's there. You have to at least consider it because he's that good. And a lot of people don't think so. And I'm telling you, you guys are crazy.
He is that good. Yeah, the definitive. This is not a very good tight end draft. He's just like sitting there alone. So if you want a tight end, this is the guy you go up and get. I like the fact that he will be effective from day one because he is such an effective blocker. And the fact that he can do both and he's like an above average tight end in terms of catching, that's a very special combination. Like Kyle Pitts was just a receiving tight end. That's what he was like when he came out of college. He's an elite pass catcher from the tight end position. This guy's that, and he can also block for you. I would be pretty surprised if the Jets didn't take Brock Bowers, if I'm being honest.
Me too.
I think that's who they have circled on the page. And I think they're dead nervous about the Chargers. Like, you know what I mean? I feel like that's where it's going to come from. So it depends on how far, they would be willing to trade back, because I bet you the Chargers do want him. Like, come on, thinking about like having a tight end in a Harbaugh system, it's just like so natural. It just feels like
it just works if he goes to LA or goes to New York. Dude, plug, play, sleep well at night.
I can't see anything else. Like, I don't know what other team would. I don't know, though, because I think there's more teams interested in him than will be said. I think that when it comes to draft hype, like tight ends just don't get that very often.
They don't get it. Thing is,
in the middle of the season, it was like the Brock Bowers show. People are talking about how high he could go. And I tend to believe like the middle season hype is like the truth. Like the closer you get to the draft, the more wacky doodle it gets. You know what I mean? In terms of what people are saying. Like, I think you got to look back and like when these guys are playing in the moment and like see what they're doing, because that's when scouts are out there. And I think that tends to be more true. Like when you get Brock Bowers, you're getting a productive player. And I know, like I've talked about this a lot. I don't believe there's any such thing as overdrafting anybody in the draft.
Get the guy you want.
If you get a guy who's going to start for your team, who cares what position you took it at? You're going to forget where he was drafted in 3 years. You won't even remember what number he went. Yep. You'll remember the guys who are productive on the field. That's for sure.
You take the guy you want.
Wherever you get him, you're getting a productive NFL player for a long time.
100%. There is no reaching.
Wherever you take him.
Yep, there's no reaching. You get the guy you want. This guy can even run the ball inside the 10. I mean, there's not much you can't do. I worry about injury history with a lot of tight ends because these guys are always
such a
being so physical. But I mean, you can get hurt on any play in football. If that would be the reason that you wouldn't draft this guy, you should probably not be a GM. Period.
Gladiator sport. All these guys
of
their heads blown off any play.
Number 9, Quinyon Mitchell. Dude, I love Q Mitch, man. I do. I went back and did some recon on the quarterbacks. I like Kool-Aid McKinstry. I like a lot of these guys. I like Nate Wiggins, but this is the best cornerback in this draft. I'm sorry. I could see this guy going to the Raiders, and you don't even bat an eye. What I like about him is he does everything well. Everything. He is a better version of a guy like Steven Nelson. He's like if Steven Nelson was really good, it'd be Quinyon Mitchell. That's what it would be. Now, is Toledo like blowing the doors off anyone's competition? No, no. But there's no denying what this guy can do. I mean, look, he's a cornerback that's built like a running back. Fast, great hands, good acceleration. He's staying with your number 1, no problem. It's kind of like when I think about him, I think about like a guy like Malachi Corley. I mean, he was destroying the competition, but it's not his fault that the competition he played against stinks. But he could still go do it. Quinyon Mitch is the same thing. He can still go do it. Look, he's got he fills up the gumbo pot with everything you could possibly want from a cornerback, okay? Look, he tackles like a safety. This is another thing that I really like about him. He's not scared to hit somebody, okay? Ball skills as well. It's like Marcus Peters' ball skills mix in, who was a hard-hitting cornerback. I like McDuffie. McDuffie likes to hit people too. These little guys that aren't scared of contact. He could play a variety of different coverages, zone, cover two. Like, what do you want the guy to do? What do you want him to do, Spencer? He can go do. There's not a lot of Swiss Army knives like this in the draft, man. There's a lot of guys that like to get picks but don't like to hit. There's a lot of guys who like to hit but can't catch a freaking cold. This guy can do everything, man. His demeanor, special teams potential, he's going to be attractive to a lot of teams, man. He should be the first cornerback coming off the board in this year's NFL draft. No problem at all. I love this kid, and he's my number 9 top 10 draft prospect.
Yeah, you said it. If the Raiders took him in the first round, I'd be running up and down my house. I'd probably get my neighbors annoyed because that would secure them as a top 5 defense in the NFL. No question about it next year. That would be
so good, dude.
Great cornerback room to go along with a sick pass rush. Man, that would be so sick. But the Raiders just have a few big holes to fill, so it's kind of hard to tell what they're going to do.
Yeah, you have a lot of holes.
Getting this guy is getting lucky. This is another top 10 pick that's going to fall outside of the top 10 because of the circumstances this year.
He could go top 15. He could go top 17. See, the thing is, when you have this kind of talent, you could take him, but you have a hole somewhere else. You know what I mean? I made the analogy of you got this hole in your mouth. You're missing a tooth, and you're like, man, I really got to get this tooth fixed. Boy, this gold chain over here is really nice. You know what I mean? This gold chain would look really good. Sure, so you buy the diamond necklace and you're flexing with it, but then when you smile, she sees this hole in your mouth. You know what I mean? So it's like you take Quinyon Mitchell because he's the gold chain, but dude, you have no offensive line.
Yeah.
And so your line's going to suffer. There's going to be a lot of teams like that, and because of that, they're going to be like, nope, we got to take the lineman. We have to take the lineman. The team starts in the middle, and then all of a sudden, a guy like Quinyon Mitchell starts falling. He starts falling, and you're like, why is this kid falling? Well, there's got too many other needs. Raiders got too many other needs. Denver's got too many other needs. And all of a sudden, the Rams get him at 16.
I know. He's a cornerback 1. That's the thing, man. When you look at some cornerbacks, you're like, they pair well with that guy.
All of a sudden,
right there at
the Eagles find a way to get this guy at 23. Yeah. You're like, it's like last year. How did the Eagles end up getting all these guys? Because guys fall because you have so many needs. There's not too many San Francisco 49ers in the NFL, guys, who don't really have a ton of needs. I mean, even the Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs, they need a lot. They need wide receivers. They need line help. They need running backs. To have a team that doesn't need a lot is very rare, and that's why guys like this guy will fall. I think he will fall out of the top 15. That's my prediction, but I love him here. He's my number 9 draft prospect out of this year's NFL 2024 draft. And finally, I flip-flopped. I couldn't figure out who I wanted here at 10. It was either Jared Verse or Dallas Turner. I settled on Jared Verse. You know what I mean? You have to have a strong defensive player here in the top 10. He's going to be my number 1. FSU gross pro, 6'4", 254. He had a great year. He's switched from tight end to me. I mean, what does that tell you? I mean, he's talented on the edge. He's got great field there, athletic skill set, will rack up statistics anywhere he goes. But he's going to have a great NFL career. Whoever gets this guy, whether it's Chicago, I could see Chicago. He looks the part of a bear here. He dominated when he was at Albany and showed ability to do the same thing at Florida State. He's twitchy. He's compact. He's not that big. That's what worries me. He's not that big. But a team like Chicago, they haven't had a dominant, defensive player up front, since they traded away Khalil Mack. I mean, he's got the ability to really threaten the edge, and he only bolsters with the hellish speed that he has, man. He's fast, and his bull rushing ability, before you know it, he's by the guy, and he's in the backfield. He's a safe, plays up, plays down. He should be highly considered for all defensive schemes that any team could throw at him, and he is a safe, high-impact edge player. He's my number 10. Dallas Turner will probably be my number 11. I'm going to go Jared Verse here as my number 10. I know you don't really love the kid, but what I don't love about him is that he's small. You can get bigger. You know what I mean? You can get bigger. Like I said, man, the incubation on a lot of these players is real. You come into camp, they start feeding you, you get into the gym, you get into the weight room, you get into, the defensive ends, get the books out. You're constantly footballing. Some guys' hands you have to hold a little longer in the NFL. He could be one of those guys, but I'm telling you, I think this is going to be an impact player. 255, 260 now, could be 290, no problem, man. And I think he's way too good to leave here. Forced fumbles, sacks, strip sacks, pressures. I think this kid's the whole package. I'd take him on my team in a heartbeat. I wouldn't even think twice.
Yeah, not someone who I'd have my top 10. I wouldn't spend a first-round pick on, well, I should say a top 15 pick on Jared Verse. First of all, I will say I do have a bet on him. I have him as the first defensive player to be taken in the draft. So
he's good.
I'll tell you at least a little bit what I think. I don't completely think he's terrible. I just think, I don't know. I think he's just a little bit raw for some reason. Like he just doesn't.
Yeah, but the thing is, you can cook him.
Yeah, but you're also talking about spending a near top 10 pick on a guy who you're like hoping to develop. When I take a guy in the top 10, I want someone who I feel confident. I have
okay. So here's the question: You're the Bears at 9, and you want a defensive player. Who's the guy you're taking?
I'd take Quinion Mitchell. I don't think I would ever look back.
But they don't need cornerback help. Yeah, Jalen Johnson just signed. You see what I mean? They need a defensive player up
imagine
front.
You have him and Quinion Mitchell. Who are you passing to?
Yeah, I guess.
You got the Legion of Boom 2.0.
Yeah, but you also have nobody who can get to the quarterback. You see, Chris Jones makes L'Jarius Sneed and Trent McDuffie look better. I'm not saying you don't, but you have to understand how the X's and O's work. And I'm not saying that you don't. But let's understand the no-fly zones have also had solid defensive lines, guys getting after the quarterbacks. Dude, when you have a guy like Chris Jones, you have a guy like Aaron Donald, those balls get floated up there a lot because these quarterbacks are scared to death. If you don't have someone rushing the passer and it's just a 3-step drop and surveying the field, you're not going to be getting that same production out of these cornerbacks. I'm sorry. L'Jarius Sneed's season was his season because Chris Jones and George Karlaftis was out there doing work. He's a good player, but as you know, and we've been saying it forever, you build a team from the inside out, not the outside in. And you can have the no-fly zone, but if you got nobody getting to your quarterback, it's useless. You have to have a little bit of this here and a little bit of this here. And Jalen Johnson, fine, you've got him. You got him, son. Who is your interior lineman that is disrupt? Who is your game wrecker if you are the Chicago Bears at 9? You see what I mean? And this is why guys like that fall. This is why guys like Quinion, I'm telling you, dude, guys, hear me. I really believe Quinion Mitchell's going to fall. There's too many other needs that guys have. Denver, they need a quarterback. Chicago, they need a lineman. They need another wide receiver. You see what I mean? Vegas, they need line help, guard help. They need a quarterback. All of a sudden now, 12, 13, 14. He's fallen. I'm telling you, if I'm going to see if there's this bet, I think Quinion Mitchell's falling out of the top 15. And it's not because he's not good. It's not because he's not good. Guys like Jared Verse are going to go over him first because you got to understand, guys, that this is a copycat league. This is very monkey see, monkey do. That's why in the 20s, it's just going to be offensive tackle after offensive tackle after offensive tackle. And guys, look what happened. What did the last 2-3 Super Bowl winners have that we don't have? What did they do to get to the Super Bowl and win the Super Bowl? Okay, they had okay cornerback play or really good cornerback play at one side of the field. 2, they had game disruptors. They had game wreckers. Aaron Donald, Chris Jones, George Karlaftis, even a guy like Mike Dana. Just they had guys that could rush the passer. If we don't have this, I don't care how good this cornerback is. We get that. Max Crosby. You take Max Crosby off the Raiders and talk to me about a cornerback. Stop. Stop, dude. Those guys are elite top 30 players in the NFL. Without those guys, you can subtract wins off your team without Max Crosby. Without Chris Jones, you saw what happened to the Chiefs opening night with no Chris Jones out there. You saw you're going to see it this year with no Aaron Donald on the field for the Rams. And I like the Rams. But if you got no one that can get to your quarterback and disrupt that, you can't win. You cannot win, especially the way they allow holding nowadays. Like, Jared Verse is going to go to the Bears.
I'm just not convinced that he is that good, though. I feel like the idea of it
so
is right.
Who would be the D lineman? Who would be the DT? Who would be the DE that you would take there?
I just don't think it exists. I don't think he's here in the draft. I think that's the thing,
I mean?
Man.
And that's the thing. And that's why he's going to go here, which is why I have him number 10. I thought this through big because I don't love him. I don't love his size.
Yeah.
I like the player. I don't love his size, but you can fix that. You can fix that. That's not hard to fix. Dude, the stuff that you need him to have is there. You know what I mean? It's there already. I mean, you're not asking him to be 6'9". You don't have to worry about that. His height and his measurables are good everywhere else. Feed him a couple sandwiches. Dude, Chicago has been known for defensive players for too long to not have one for this long.
I got good odds on this pick too. I'm looking at it right now. I got plus 300 for Jared Verse to be the first defensive player. I think those are really good odds. I think it's a very.
I think it's happening.
I'm just not a big fan of the kid from Alabama.
Him or Dallas Turner.
Way too raw.
It's going to be him or Dallas Turner.
If you're telling me to take between Jared Verse, it's not a competition. I think I would take Jared Verse first as the first defensive player off the board.
I think it's happening.
Comparing them big time. I think it's kind of. I think the fact that he's from Alabama is what makes him favored to be the first to go off of the board.
They grow pros.
I think Jared Verse is a better prospect just overall. I'm just not a big fan of the other kid. I wouldn't spend a first round pick on him.
Yeah, well, that's kind of where you're at, with that. Or you just completely broom it and worry about it later. You know what I mean? If you think that there's better defensive players in the second and third round, then you take Rome Odunze. Or if Neighbors falls,
I think there's some really good defensive tackles in the second round. If you want to get,
you could just broom it if you don't really believe in the kid there. I mean, I feel like he's going to be a Bear. I do. I mean, let's just go through it. I mean, number one where that's happening. I mean, Caleb's going to the Bears. 2, Washington's going to take May. 3, Daniels is going to go to New England. MHJ is going to go to Arizona. Who knows what the Chargers are going to do? But I think if they're smart, they take Neighbors. Odunze maybe goes to the Giants, out to the Titans. Atlanta, it gets tricky. First,
Atlanta is the biggest wild card by far.
They're going to take someone defensively. I think it could be Turner or Verse. 9. I mean, the Bears have a big shot to do something here. I mean, they're not taking Bowers. They don't need him. They got Komet. No. They don't need any more wide receivers. They need help on the defense, dude. It just makes sense. When you look at the top 10 blue chip players there, that's what they're going to do. If they don't, I'd be shocked. They skip it, then who do they take? Who do they take? Odunze is gone. Neighbors is gone. MHJ, they're all gone. You know what I mean?
Getting out of this pick.
Trade out of the pick, back it up with more picks, or take Quinyon Mitchell.
13 or 12.
Take Mitchell.
Or 14.
You take Q Mitch one side, Jalen Johnson on the other side. We'll worry about defense later. It's not horrible. I wouldn't do it. It doesn't matter if you are fast and a quarterback and you can pick balls if no one's getting to your quarterback. These quarterbacks in the NFL are far too good at what they do to not be pressured and expect them to throw picks and turn the ball over. You have to get to the quarterback. J.J. Watt, T.J. Watt, Aaron Donald, Chris Jones, Christian Wilkins, Max Crosby. I could go on and on and on and on and on. These teams win games because of these players. Defensive players in the NFL don't get enough credit. I'm sorry. I'm a defensive-minded guy. I want these guys to get their flowers. Chiefs' defense was great because they were great up front. And they were great in the secondary, And they were great linebackers. They were great everywhere. But they were great everywhere because of guys like Chris Jones and George Karlaftis. The secondary and the tertiary, they all eat off that. And the Bears would be stupid, I think, to not take a guy like Jared Verse. You pull and pray. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. But you haven't had an impact defensive player since Khalil Mack. And who do you take there? You can't tell me. So that to me is a pick. Makes sense? I don't know.
I mean, it makes sense. I'm just saying, if I was the GM, I wouldn't pull the trigger on it because I'm just
I don't know. I'm gonna.
I feel like it's like the right move to make because it fills a need. I just don't know if it's like I just don't feel confident that it would work out. I wouldn't put my money on it.
Wouldn't put money. I'm gonna talk to my buddies today when I go to work, huge Bear fans, and ask them if that situation presented themselves and all those other blue chip players are gone. Who do you take there? It'd be interesting to see what they say. That's it, guys. World of Matchups is back, man. This is what we do. Draft is Thursday. We're going to talk about maybe doing something. Maybe we will, maybe we won't. But at worst, we will be back on next week to go over the draft if we don't do something live on Thursday. We appreciate the support. Likes, follows, subscriptions, and all that. Parting shot, Spencer. Let her rip.
Yeah, I want to very quickly, just in a quick second, go over. These are a list of 10 players. I'm not saying guys who didn't make this list are bad. I'm going to run this off to you. This is a tweet I had made a while ago about the draft. Here's 10 players who I feel like are going to have at least 6 seasons of productive starter football in the NFL. Again, if I don't say a name, it doesn't mean I don't think they will. But these are guys these are my stamp of approval guys who I feel are going to be productive players for at least 6 seasons in the NFL. I'll get the easy ones out of the way. Marvin Harrison Jr., Joel Brock Bowers, Terrion Arnold, Bulaga, Jackson Powers Johnson, Kool-Aid Minstrey, T'Vondre Sweat, Graham Barton, Chop Robinson. Dude, I'm telling you, my hottest take of the draft is I think Chop Robinson is going to be the biggest steal of the first round in the draft. I don't know what it is about the guy. He just has some
Robinson is a good player,
but I'm not looking like other players don't have.
He's going to the Vikings.
Such an elite first step, and if you can just hone him in,
you're there.
He can
they're not going to miss Danielle Hunter at all
in the first round. He could be better than Jared Verse. He could be,
Agreed.
I'm telling you, I love him, man. I love that guy. I think he's going to be so good.
Too, man. Yeah. I like your list, man. I like your list. I mean,
I'm not saying they're going to be all pros. I'm saying these are guys who are going to be starters for your football team.
They're going to be starters for 6 years.
A long time.
A lot of people think Arnold's better than Mitchell. I am not one of them. I
think they're both really good.
I don't think there's a right or wrong pick there. I just like Mitchell a little bit more because he's more of a running back playing cornerback. I like Graham Barton. I like Powers Johnson. He went to Oregon. That's my team. There's some good players on that list. And I agree. with all guys. This is such a loaded draft. My goodness. I get excited just talking about it. I can't remember an NFL draft that I was this excited for. I can't ever. I'm so pumped for this, man. I cannot wait for Thursday and see what everyone's team. I'm not just looking even at my team. I'm looking to see what everyone else is trying to do to stop my team, and that or to get better. Like I'm watching the Raiders. I mean, I live in Las Vegas. That's Spencer's team. I want to see what the Raiders do here. You know what I mean? Like it's so exciting. This time of the year, this is like Christmas for NFL fans.
It's crazy that the 3 biggest needs for the Raiders are all going to be available to them.
All going to be available.
It's very rare, rare. Where a position need, you have starter level guys. Like you're going to have 5 guys and are going to fit all of your needs. You can take any of these 5 guys. That never happens in the draft. Never.
It's going to be great. World of Matches brings the heat as always. We'll see you guys either Thursday or next week. We'll figure out what we're going to do. We'll post a link if we do something Thursday, and you guys have a great week. Enjoy the draft. At worst, we'll be back on Saturday with a draft recap. Enjoy the week. Good luck to your teams, and we are out.
See ya.